Hello there, lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV main news today, the 20th of July in the year 2026. Let's now take a look at the news headlines. ZPPA cracks down on underperforming contractor. MUTUMBA denies withdrawal claims, vows to stay in election race. Dr. Guy Scott laid to rest as leaders honor his legacy. In international news, West African leaders approve Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline. In sports, wild celebrations in Madrid after Spain seal FIFA World Cup victory. Join us for these and many more stories after the break.
In every celebration, there's a simple choice being made. To belong, count me in. Moments of love and promises for tomorrow, count me in. At the checkout line, in the middle of an ordinary day, a reminder that every number matters, count me in. Across our communities, our streets, the same message finds us. Count me in. From the everyday worker to the hands shaping our future every day, the call is the same. Count me in. And around the traditions that bring us together, the message becomes impossible to ignore. Count me in.
This election season, your vote counts. Get your NRC and voters card ready.
Count me in.
It's morning again in Zambia. Today, millions of our children will go to school more than ever before in the history of our country, because free education is opening doors that were once closed. Today, with over 40 million kwacha to spend, communities will build clinics, improve schools, drill boreholes, and transform lives using the increased CDF. Men and women will walk through markets and stations freely, without fear or intimidation from cadres. But the journey is not over, and we still have more work to do.
We've started the change. Now let's finish the job. On the 13th of August 2026, vote for Hakainde Hichilema as President of the Republic of Zambia. And let us continue to move Zambia forward together.
Camnet TV main news now showing on Topstar Channel 106, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on the Kenstream app. With the main news in detail, I'm Tapelo Joe Smarter. The Zambia Public Procurement Authority, ZPPA, has suspended Taiwan Arc Enterprises Limited from participating in public procurement for 1 year over poor performance in the execution of contracts awarded by Chirundu Town Council. The suspension relates to the construction of a staff house and an ablution block at Siavulembo Primary School, as well as 2 staff houses at Pambazana Primary School in Chirundu District. According to a statement issued by ZPPA, Assistant Public Relations Officer Lucy Lumbe, the authority launched an investigation in May 2026 after receiving a complaint from Chirundu Town Council regarding the contractor's failure to complete the projects. Ms. Lumbe said the investigations established that the contract for Siavulembo Primary School was signed on June 25, 2024, while the contract for Pambazana Primary School was signed on July 22, 2024. She said the projects were scheduled for completion on November 1 and November 2, 2024, respectively. However, ZPPA found that Taiwan Arc Enterprises Limited did not complete the works despite receiving 3 extensions from the local authority. Ms. Lumbe added that the authority invoked Section 96G of the Public Procurement Act number 8 of 2020 and suspended the company from participating in public procurement. She said the suspension took effect on July 3, 2026. Ms. Lumbe said the decision reinforces its commitment to ensuring that contractors awarded public contracts meet their contractual obligations and deliver value for public resources.
The Zambia Public Procurement Authority, ZPPA, has suspended Tyon Arc Enterprises Limited from participating in public procurement for a period of 1 year for underperformance of its contractual obligations in a contract with Chirundu Town Council. The suspension of Tyon Arc Enterprises Limited is in relation to a contract for the construction of a staff house and ablution block at Siabulembo Primary School and 2 staff houses at Pambazana Primary School in Chirundu District. In May 2026, ZPPA instituted an investigation in the aforesaid contract following a complaint from Chirundu Town Council. ZPPA established that the contract for the construction of a staff house and ablution block at Siabulembo Primary School was signed on 25th June 2024, while the contract for the construction of 2 staff houses at Pambazana Primary School was signed on 22nd July 2024. The contractual completion date for the 2 construction projects was 1st November 2024 and 2nd November 2024, respectively. However, despite Chirundu Town Council granting Tyon Arc Investment Limited 3 extensions to the contract, the works were not completed. Pursuant to Section 96, subsection G of the Public Procurement Act, ZPPA has suspended Tyon Arc Enterprises Limited from participating in public procurement with effect from 3rd July 2026.
An independent candidate in Lusaka's Shibuyunji district of Mwembeji constituency has dismissed claims that he has withdrawn from the August 13 general elections, describing the reports as false and politically motivated. Dennis Ken MUTUMBA, an independent candidate contesting as Shibuyunji Council chairperson, has denied reports circulating on social media that he has withdrawn from the race, insisting that he remains firmly in the contest. Speaking in a telephone interview with Camnet News, he said the rumors were intended to mislead voters and intimidate his supporters ahead of the August 13 general elections. Mr. Mutumba alleged that members of the ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, were behind the misinformation campaign, claiming they were attempting to discourage support for independent candidates. Mr. Mutumba stressed that Zambia's constitution guarantees eligible citizens the right to contest elections as independent candidates and said he had lawfully filed his nomination. He further claimed that some of his supporters had informed him about messages circulating on social media alleging that he had stepped down from the race. Mr. Mutumba also appealed to the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, to help curb the spread of election-related misinformation and ensure that all candidates are able to campaign freely and fairly. He maintained that independent candidates have the same constitutional rights as those representing political parties and called for peaceful and issue-based campaigns.
The UPND political party in Shibuyunji district, both in Mwembeshi East and West, have continued to create propaganda, putting fear and also threatening those that would support the independent candidates. We are protected by law to aspire and stand on an independent ticket by law. The truth and the fact that we filed in as independent candidates, it's a message that we are legally protected under the constitution of this country. Provided for, we are residents, we vote within Shibuyunji, and we qualify and we are eligible because we meet all the requirements needed as per electoral requirement. It's very sad that this morning I've received messages from my supporters who are in the camp in Nampundwe that there is messages that are circulating that I did withdraw. I've not withdrawn, and I will not withdraw, and I will never withdraw. It's unfortunate that the UPND here are panicking so much. We have demanded the ECZ to ask UPND to stop the violences. We've been always targeted to be attacked. I think we have every right to stand as independent under what we call a democratic country like Zambia, which is under multi-party system. We have every right to stand as independent so long we are Zambians and we are given this power to stand in for the people as independent candidates.
Dignitaries, government officials, family members, friends, and hundreds of mourners gathered at the Anglican Cathedral of the Holy Cross for the funeral service of former Vice President Dr. Guy Lindsay Scott. The solemn service brought together leaders from across the political divide, members of the diplomatic corps, the clergy, and members of the public to pay their final respects to Dr. Scott, who served as Zambia's Vice President and briefly as acting President. Tributes celebrated his contributions to Zambia's democratic development, public service, and national unity, with speakers describing him as a dedicated statesman whose legacy will continue to inspire future generations. Following the church service, mourners accompanied the late former Vice President at his final funeral rites continued. Moving on in the news, the Forum for Democracy and Development, FDD, has alleged that the ruling United Party for National Development, UPND leadership, is encouraging political violence against supporters of the opposition Tonse Alliance and its partners, claims the ruling party has previously denied. In a statement issued by FDD Information and Publicity Secretary Caesar Liteta, the opposition party claimed that incidents of political violence reported across the country are being carried out by UPND cadres against citizens perceived to support the opposition. Mr. Liteta alleged that campaign messages by President Hakainde Hichilema indirectly encourage acts of violence, arguing that the head of state should instead use campaign platforms to promote peace, unity, and national harmony. The FDD also argued that the Tonse Alliance is an independent political coalition with its own leadership and policies, insisting that it should not be equated with the Patriotic Front, PF. Mr. Liteta further accused the Zambia Police Service of failing to protect victims of political violence and called on law enforcement agencies to enforce the law impartially. He urged political parties to reject violence and allow citizens to exercise their constitutional rights to freedom of association and political participation without intimidation.
The UPND leadership is unleashing its cadres on innocent citizens for supporting the opposition Tonse Alliance and its partners. The violence being witnessed countrywide, as reported on various media platforms, is sponsored by the UPND leadership, whilst they pretend not being aware of what their cadres are doing. Citizens are being assaulted with impunity by cadres in response to the indirect instructions by the UPND leadership through coded campaign messages that calls for vengeance. Why is it that the only message the UPND President Hakainde Hichilema has to his supporters during rallies is to remind them of the violence experienced during the PF regime, a party that is now in an alliance with the UPND itself? Mao Sampa and Robert Shavinga, both who claim to be presidents of the PF, are in an alliance with the UPND, meaning the PF is in an alliance with the UPND itself. There is no PF in the Tonse Alliance, as all alliance partners are independent political parties, political movements such as the BM8 movement, and civil society organizations that have agreed to work together to redeem the Zambians from the UPND's harsh economic policies. Our special purpose vehicle, the National Reconciliation Party for Unity and Prosperity, has equally nothing to do with the PF. The Tonse Alliance is completely a new political organization with its own leadership ideology, and policies different from that of the PF, and therefore inciting violence against its leaders and followers is unacceptable and detrimental to our hard-earned multi-party democracy, especially that the UPND and its leadership are seeking a second term of public office from the same citizens that they are now killing. President Hakainde Hichilema must be in the forefront preaching peace, unity, and harmony.
The Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, has urged poll staff in Western Province to remain impartial and professional during the August general elections, describing their training as a key step towards delivering a credible electoral process. Western Province Provincial Electoral Officer Nixon Nkwapu says the training of poll staff from all 16 districts in the province marks an important milestone in preparations for a credible and peaceful general election. Speaking during the training in Mongo, Mr. Nkwapu urged participants to carry out their duties with professionalism, integrity, and unwavering political neutrality. He stressed that poll staff must remain strictly impartial and non-partisan throughout the electoral process to maintain public confidence in the outcome of the elections. Mr. Nkwapu said the credibility of the elections will largely depend on the conduct of election officers at polling stations, adding that every officer has a responsibility to uphold the principles of fairness and transparency. Some of the trainees who spoke during the program expressed readiness to apply the knowledge acquired during the training, saying they are committed to conducting free, fair, and credible elections. The participants also said they recognize the importance of maintaining peace before, during, and after voting by performing their duties professionally and without political bias. The Electoral Commission of Zambia has continued training election officers across the country as part of its preparations for the August 13, 2026 general elections. Our reporter, Kelvin Kabila Musiebo, filed in this report.
With only 24 days remaining for Zambia to go to the polls on 13th August 2026, the Electoral Commission of Zambia has conducted several trainings to its poll staffs to equip them with necessary information in the electoral process in order to conduct a credible election. And in Western Province, the Electoral Commission of Zambia is conducting poll staff trainings from all the 16 districts. Western Province Provincial Electoral Officer Nixon Nkwapu officially opened the training with an emphasis that poll staff officers to take the training seriously so that they can conduct a credible election.
This training, colleagues, marks a critical milestone as we take a decisive step towards the successful delivery of the 2026 general election. Your presence here signifies a profound commitment to the conduct of a credible election. Therefore, you must diligently guard the integrity of both the electoral process and the Electoral Commission of Zambia. You are required to execute your duties absolutely and unwavering political neutrality.
He further called on all poll staff officers to remain neutral and strictly impartial in order to maintain peace in the country.
Emphasize to all your poll staff that they must remain strictly impartial and non-partisan at all times at the same time. It is the Commission's sincere hope that this workshop will culminate into a successful training of poll staff in your respective districts, ultimately resulting in a peaceful, transparent, and credible general election.
Meanwhile, some participants spoken to says they are ready to take more on the emphasis of having a credible election.
So as we are here, we are ready to take more on the emphasis of having credible elections on that day, so that most of the people, we work according to the guidelines of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, where we don't take partisan in any party so far. So we need to work as independent people and work for the people of Zambia.
The importance of conducting credible elections is that we are going to have a peaceful elections in the country. There will be no violence, no whatsoever, no petition, because all the elections were done in a faithful manner.
Kelvin Kabiramsebo, Camnet News in Mungo District, Western Province.
And that particular story from Western Province takes us to our first set of commercials. But do join us for more news when we come back. Do stay tuned.
Voting is one of the few moments where we all have a voice.
One person, one vote.
No titles, no status.
Just a choice.
It's not about doing nothing.
It's about showing up.
Because your vote matters.
It's easy.
It's important.
It's ours.
Count me in.
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 From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
For decades, Zambia has searched for its promise. Through triumph, sacrifice, and difficult seasons. Many promised change, many spoke of hope, but the burden remained heavy. And then, a servant of the people stepped forward. Not perfect, not a magician, but a man willing to lead his people through the wilderness toward a better Zambia. Like Moses leading his people toward the promised land. The journey was never meant to be easy, because nations are not built overnight. They are built through faith, sacrifice, and perseverance. The work is not finished, but Zambia is moving forward.
On the 13th of August 2026, vote for Hakainde Hichilema as President of the Republic of Zambia.
Welcome back to the Camnet News Desk. The news continues. Free Press Initiative FPI has expressed concern over the detention of Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation ZNBC journalist Macpherson Mokuka, saying the move raises serious questions about press freedom and the enforcement of Zambia's cyber laws. In a statement issued to Camnet News, FPI founder and executive director Joan Chira said Mukuka's detention by the Zambia Police Service over allegations of recording and publishing a private conversation without consent highlights the risks journalists face while reporting on matters of public interest. Mrs. Chira acknowledged that no one is above the law, but argued that detaining a journalist over information published in the public interest could criminalize legitimate journalism and discourage investigative reporting. She said FPI has opposed several provisions of Zambia's cyber laws since the enactment of the Cyber Security and Cyber Crimes Act in 2021, adding that the 2025 split of the legislation into the Cyber Security Act and the Cyber Crimes Act introduced more restrictive provisions affecting media freedom. Mrs. Chira noted that FPI joined the petition filed by the Law Association of Zambia, LAZ, and Chapter 1 Foundation as amicus curiae, seeking to have several provisions of the cyber laws declared unconstitutional. According to the organization, one of its main concerns is the offense of recording a private conversation without consent, arguing that the law does not provide adequate protection for journalists who gather evidence to expose corruption, abuse of office, criminal conduct, or other matters of public interest. FBI said Mukuka's case demonstrates why it believes the legislation requires reform, arguing that investigative journalism often involves documenting information that those involved would not willingly disclose. The organization called on the Zambia Police Service to uphold Mukuka's constitutional rights, ensure due process, and exercise restraint in enforcing cyber laws to avoid suppressing legitimate journalism.
We had warned the government then that what they were creating was a law that was going to haunt most of the citizens of our country, and especially journalists. And I recall very well that at that time, those that were in opposition joined in opposing these particular laws. But instead of addressing the long-standing concerns that we had raised that time, the current administration actually went further to split this law into the Cyber Security Act and the Cyber Crimes Act of 2025. And those laws, in fact, introduced even more restrictive provisions that further threaten media freedom and freedom of expression. It's for this reason that the FBI actually joined the petition that was brought by as an amicus curiae, where we are seeking that several provisions of the cyber laws should be declared unconstitutional. And one of the provisions that we as FBI have consistently been concerned about is the offense of recording a private conversation without consent. While the protection of privacy is a legitimate objective, the law does not provide an adequate public interest safeguard for journalists or anyone actually that practices journalism who records or publishes information for the purpose of exposing corruption, abuse of office, criminal conduct, or other matters of legitimate public concern. In effect, the provision is capable of criminalizing public interest journalism and discouraging investigative reporting, which saves the public's right to know. So the detention of our friend, Mr. Mukuka, illustrates precisely why the FBI has challenged these provisions.
UPND Alliance partner and United Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia, UPPZ President Charles Chanda, says a re-elected government will establish a land restitution commission to resolve historical land disputes and reform land allocation. Speaking during an interview, Mr. Chanda said the proposed commission would investigate how land was allocated by previous governments, particularly in cases where it was allegedly distributed to political party supporters. He alleged that cadres under previous administrations acquired and shared land among themselves for personal benefit rather than in the public interest. Mr. Chanda said the proposed commission would review such cases and work towards restoring land to deserving Zambians. He added that President Hakainde Hichilema is aware that more than 70% of Zambia's land is under customary ownership or held by private entities, making dialogue with traditional leaders and private landowners essential to any lasting solution. According to Mr. Chanda, the commission would seek to ensure that land is made available to ordinary citizens for farming and housing, while promoting fairness and transparency in land administration.
The President is thinking of instituting a land restitution commission. Now, we've suggested that to the President because we have a lot of people who lost out because of cadres, because of Ministry of Lands officials. They lost out lands. And the President is saying, yes, we want to provide, but let's look at those who suffered injustice. We can't leave them behind, because if we leave those behind, who will attend to them. The president is very much aware of how the Minister of Lands in the previous regime authorized the demolition of houses in Lusaka. He is aware of how those properties were destroyed, and later that land was replanted and plots were issued to officials from the Ministry of Lands, politicians, and some Indians, and the Zambians lost out properties. The president is aware and is not sitting idle. So those of you who lost houses, you must be aware that the current president, President Hakainde Hichilema, he knows, and he hasn't closed his eyes over the tears that were seen in those days. So what we are saying is that the president, in trying to resolve the issue of the land deficit, he wants to ensure that we correct some of the things that were done, which have led to the problems that we have currently. So that is very important. Apart from that, when dealing with the issue of the land crisis,
we now take our second and final break, but join us for international and sports news when we come back. Do stay tuned.
In every celebration, there's a simple choice being made. To belong, count me in. In moments of love and promises for tomorrow, count me in. At the checkout line, in the middle of an ordinary day, a reminder that every number matters. Count me in. Across our communities, our streets, the same message finds us. Count me in. From the everyday worker to the hands shaping our future every day, the call is the same. Count me in. And around the traditions that bring us together, the message becomes impossible to ignore. Count me in. This election season, your vote counts. Get your NRSC and voters card ready. Count me in.
Enjoy the benefits of an instant loan with us ranging from 1,000 kwacha to 750,000 kwacha paid express once collateral is viewed, valued and verified. Call us on 0763 595 359 or 0779 432 993. Classified Financial Express, here as your financial friend.
Before 2022, millions of Zambian children stayed home because school was unaffordable for many families. Today, things are much better. No more tuition fees, no more PTA fees, and no more examination fees. More than 2.5 million children are back in class across the country. Schools are feeding our children and classrooms are full again. And with the enhanced Constituency Development Fund, more classrooms are being built. More desks are being made. More teachers are being hired. Because Bali cares. He has delivered this for all children across Zambia. Because free education is not just a policy. It is a promise to every Zambian child. A promise that poverty will not decide their future. A promise delivered. On the 13th of August 2026, vote for Hakainde Hichilema as President of the Republic of Zambia. And let's continue to move Zambia forward together.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palavana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Welcome back to the Camnet News Desk, and now in international news. West African leaders on Sunday signed an agreement approving the construction of a gas pipeline linking Nigeria to Morocco at a summit of regional bloc ECOWAS in Sierra Leone's capital, Freetown. The roughly 6,000-kilometer Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline will cross 13 countries along Africa's Atlantic coast, carrying Nigerian gas to Morocco before connecting to the Maghreb-Europe pipeline. Morocco State Hydrocarbons Agency, ONHYM, and Nigeria State Oil Company, NNPC, said in a statement that the project aimed to link West Africa's gas resources to major regional markets. It also hopes to strengthen the integration of African energy markets and create a development corridor linking West Africa, the Sahel, Morocco, and Europe. The next steps include creating a project company based in Casablanca and a governing authority headquartered in Abuja before investors are brought on board and the final investment decision is taken, they added. Construction is expected to begin in 2028, with the first gas deliveries targeted for 2031, said an ONHYM source. The project, first proposed during Moroccan King Mohammed VI's visit to Abuja in 2016, is estimated to cost around $27 billion. Its revival has been driven in part by Algeria's 2022 decision to stop supplying gas to Spain via Morocco after diplomatic ties between Algiers and Rabat broke down. For more in international stories, we monitored Africa News.
West African leaders approved the construction of a gas pipeline linking Nigeria and Morocco at an ECOWAS summit in Sierra Leone. The roughly 6,000-kilometer pipeline will run through 13 countries along Africa's Atlantic coast, carrying Nigerian gas to Morocco and then on to the Maghreb-Europe pipeline. ECOWAS Chair Julius Maada Bio said the agreement is already signed, while both Morocco and Nigeria's oil and gas companies say the project is designed to link West Africa's gas resources to major regional markets. The next steps include setting up a project company in Casablanca and a governing authority in Abuja before investors are brought in. Construction is expected to begin in 2028, with the first gas deliveries targeted for 2031. The project is estimated to cost about $27 billion. The project was first proposed in 2016, and its revival has been driven in part by Algeria's 2022 decision to stop supplying gas to Spain via Morocco after diplomatic ties between Algiers and Rabat broke down.
Gabon's President Brice Oligui Nguema kicked off a state visit to France on Monday, a follow-up to French President Macron's visit to Libreville last year. Topping the agenda is Gabon's demand for French company Eramet to begin local processing of the manganese it mines in Gabon through local subsidiaries. Libreville has set a deadline of January 2029 for all ore to be processed before export. Paris, however, is pressing for more time to set up the necessary infrastructure. The two leaders will also discuss a greater withdrawal of French forces in Gabon and the land title to a former French army base in the country. Lawyers for Gabon's jailed former Prime Minister and opposition leader Alain-Claude Bilibayenze are also pressing for Macron to intervene on his behalf. Billy Bayenze was arrested in April on charges of fraud and breach of trust related to events from 2008. His lawyers say the charges are politically motivated and are calling on France to ensure his rights are respected. Since taking office, Macron has been trying to revitalise France's relationship with Africa and confirm a break from its colonial past.
A Nigerian court dismissed a lawsuit by a traditional monarch in the oil-rich Delta region seeking to halt Shell's plan to offload its onshore assets over accusations of decades of environmental pollution. Bubarai Dakolo, the monarch of Ekpetiama Kingdom in southern Bayelsa State, had taken the British energy giant to court after it announced conclusion of the sale of its Nigerian onshore assets in March 2025. The case sought to block Shell's exit from Nigeria's onshore oil sector without cleaning up decades of pollution. The Federal High Court ruled that the suit was premature and incompetent, adding that the allegations against the oil giant were statute barred under Nigerian law. More than 40 years of extensive oil spills and gas flaring had caused severe environmental damage that destroyed fishing and farming livelihoods in parts of the Niger Delta region, which accounts for most of Nigeria's oil production.
And finally, in sports news this evening, thousands of Spain supporters crowded the streets of Madrid in the early hours of Monday, celebrating the country's victory in the World Cup final. Spain substitute Ferran Torres scored in the 106th minute to give his team a 1-0 win over defending champions Argentina in the World Cup final. Spain was absolutely dominant in terms of possession and shot attempts. Lionel Messi and Argentina found a way to hang on and force extra time, but barely. And in the opening moment of the second 15-minute period of extra time, Torres pounced on a bouncing ball in the box and used his left foot to bury a shot just under the crossbar and into the back of the net. We monitored Africa News.
Thousands of Spain supporters crowded the streets of Madrid in the early hours of Monday, celebrating the country's victory in the World Cup final. Spain substitute Ferran Torres scored in the 106th minute to give his team 1-0 win over defending champion Argentina in the World Cup final. Something very exciting. We deserved it from the first minute, and in the end it's known that we are the great fans and we deserve it. We deserve the second one. Unique excitement from minute 1 to minute 120. Magnificent. Long live Spain. It was very tight. Argentina made things very difficult, but we knew that Spain was superior from the beginning. This title, combined with Women's World Cup won by Spain in 2023, makes a European nation the first to hold both the men's and women's titles simultaneously. Spain is now unbeaten in its last 38 matches, 29 wins, 9 draws.
And that sporting item brings us to the end of this edition of Main News on Camnet TV. But before we go, a recap of stories that made headlines. ZPPA cracks down on underperforming contractor. MUTUMBA denies withdrawal claims, vows to stay in election race. Dr. Guy Scott laid to rest as leaders honor his legacy. In international news, West African leaders approve Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline. In sports, wild celebrations in Madrid after Spain seal FIFA World Cup victory. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, coming from the book of James, chapter 1, verse 4. It reads, "But let patience have a perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing." That ends the Bible reading, and that concludes this edition of Main News on Camnet TV. But dear viewer, like always, be reminded that Camnet TV is not just another channel. Now showing on TopStar channel 106, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on the Kenstream app. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Tapelo Joe Smarter. Good evening and God bless.